is April 14th, 2025. This one is entitled, Is There a Depression Soon? Because things ain't looking too hot for the economy. Now, whether that was already in motion, which it kind of seemed to be, but man with the hands on the lever now is one Donald Trump. So we are going to see where all this goes. But there are, there are some things to go through. So if you have not, please subscribe to the Substack. Check it out. PrepperNow.substack.com is a great way to get this all to you, So a lot of these things have links and stuff, but we'll get there. There's some other cool things in here, as you can see. So, I know this is late. My apologies, but no matter how hard I try, it just keeps getting me kicked back to 11:30 because of all the life. I don't even want to tell you what's going on this weekend. It's going to be a nut job. So we're just going to put our head down and keep fighting through and doing our best to get the intel out to you guys, because that's what we do here, all right? I fancy myself as a little bit more reliable even than the United States Postal Service. It supposedly says the rain or snow or all that, nothing stops the crisis report, okay? Because it's like personal to me at this point. I don't really care if this channel grows, but I want everybody to know that, like, I work hard to put this stuff out, and I respect you, and most, if not all, you guys seem to have a respect for what we're doing here, and that's just telling you what's going on. I just want to tell you what's going on, because I'm seeing a lot of problems. And so when you kind of put it in this form, you can go and check it out for yourself and see what's going on. So it's important that way. But it's late, so we're going to get going. My apologies, but it's just the way it is right now for me. So we're going to get started here on the crisis report. Hit the buttons and stuff, and I will see you here through this, and then I'm going to try and go to PrepperNow for a little bit afterwards. I want to try to explain tariffs and do some further economic looks at stuff, because there's a lot of problems out there, and I think you need to know. But let's get through this first, okay? This is your crisis report for April 14th, 2025. Ooh, look at that. Look at that right there. April 14th, 2025. Here we go. House explosion in Austin, Texas. Blast shook nearby houses. Multiple patients reported. So I guess there was by a hospital. I don't know. President Trump was joined by his granddaughter Kai on Air Force One. Said, quote, "You know the fake news? This is the fake news." Kind of a funny video. Whoosh. Marco Rubio says 10 more criminals were sent from the United States to El Salvador. I guess they're not going to be coming back. Sorry about that. Mr. Bukele visited with Mr. Trump today and basically said, can't help you once they're on our shores. Now think about this. This is a guy that came here without the right to do so. One might even call it a criminal act. And then basically gets sent back, and some judge says, hey, you got to come back here. We need you back here. Even though you're not supposed to be here in the first place, you broke laws to get here. We need you back here. And this guy has got a rap sheet. I don't... What do you do with that? It's like Arizona. People getting mad that they're clearing out the voter rolls. How do you get mad? They're clearing out the voter rolls. They're cleaning things up. If you're like against people cleaning things up and keeping people out that shouldn't be in, I think you're the friggin' problem, if I may. And there's all these like major influential entities that are doing whatever they can to help that kind of crap. Not that I see anything in front of me. South Carolina wife turned warrior fought off an alligator that had attacked her husband in the backyard. Authorities said, don't mess with those Carolina women, folks. Tell you what. Mysterious object fell from the sky, damaging an auto shop in South Jersey. Security footage captured what appeared to be fireball, according to ABC One. We covered that last night on PrepperNow. President Trump promised millions of Christians across the country that he would create a White House faith office, and he delivered on that promise. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. Arizona to begin removing as many 50,000 non-citizens from voter rolls following a lawsuit. And Democrats, for some reason, just aren't into it. Who knows why? Who could tell? I don't know why. PlayStation 5 console prices increase in Europe. Good. I hope they're priced out. You know what? Here's an idea. Don't play stupid video games. Go do stuff that's actually productive. Go garden. If you're wasting your time on video games, you're wasting your time. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says they are already ready to launch powerful strikes deep within Iran. There's numerous warnings today against Iran from the administration. Suspect taken into custody for an arson attack at Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro's house. It's been wrapped up. Guy's indicted. Did a stupid thing. Zelensky demands that President Trump visit Ukraine before negotiations can move forward. Trump administration says it will exclude some electronics from reciprocal tariffs. Friday, he said exclude electronics like smartphones, laptops from the tariffs could help keep the prices down for consumers that aren't usually made in the U.S., benefit big companies like Apple and Samsung, NVIDIA. Staged for a likely tech rally on Monday. U.S. Customs and Border Protection said items like smartphones, laptops, hard drives, flat panel monitors, and some chips would qualify for the exemption. Machines used to make semiconductors are excluded too. That means they won't be subject to the current 145% tariffs levied on China or the 10% baseline tariffs elsewhere. Internationally recognized Yemeni government is mobilizing around 80,000 troops to attempt to seize control of the Hudaydah port, Ansar Allah and the others. Trump administration eyeballs selling gold for Bitcoin. That wouldn't be smart. During a few visits to Capitol Hill, got a lot of offices. They said they're about this, and not one voiced serious concern. Okay. China calls on the United States to completely cancel tariffs. Not going to happen. China suspends exports of certain rare earths minerals crucial for the car, semiconductor, and aerospace industries. China has a near universal monopoly on rare earths minerals needed for essentially all modern manufacturing. Need to fix that. 56% of Americans are dissatisfied with Trump's handling of the economy. Now, this is CBS, so whatever. 53% of Americans believe that American economy is getting worse. Well, yeah, it was. That's why he got elected. By the way, I don't know if you've seen the CBS interview, the 60 Minutes with Leslie Stahl, but holy Lord, you don't even have to dislike the blue and white country from the Middle East not to go, well, this is some insensitive crap that you're saying. This guy has, been a hostage. And to give you an example, he said that they starved him. Okay. And she said, oh, okay. Well, she goes afterwards and says, well, do you think maybe they just didn't have any food? Like they were starving too? He's like, no, they were literally eating in front of me to torture me. You dumb rhymes with punt. It was bad. It was bad. So I don't know. She's like 180 years old. I'd say just cash it in, honey. Go retire. Enjoy your winnings and go away. 53% of Americans believe the American economy is getting worse. Yes, it is. It is. That's why it's going to be a depression at some point. 53% of Americans dissatisfied with Trump's performance as president. 47% approve. This is CBS. It's, Democrat Central. We're taking a look at semiconductors and the whole electronic supply chain in the upcoming national security tariff investigations. What has happened and been exposed is that we need to make products in the United States. Yes, you do. and that we will not be held hostage by other countries, especially hostile trading nations like China. Yeah, we are basically set ourselves up for complete and total domination by them, by allowing them to do all the manufacturing. That's what people think that Trump is doing. They say, you know, we're cruising for a bruising with China, so we got to start to do some painful crap now, or if we ever get into a war with them, they're going to screw us over. So, who knows? Republican lawmakers for Trump's trade war could lead to a political wipeout for the Republican Party in 2026, Hill reports. Hill is Democrat. Fox News host Jesse Waters on tariffs says what that does to China. It collapses their economy, mass unemployment. Possibly the regime gets toppled, so if they don't want regime getting toppled, they have to cut a deal with us. There's some, truth, but everybody's still fighting the good fight right now, and we'll have to see where it goes. President Trump is going to run for a third term. He's going to get elected again. Soon after January 20th, 2029, he's going to be president of the United States, according to Steve Bannon. We shall see. Panama's deputy foreign minister, Washington's new view that the Panama Canal is allegedly under Chinese control is a misconception. Panama will have to explain this to the new U.S. administration. Houthis said they shot down another U.S. MQ-9 drone in Hajjat Governorate with a locally manufactured surface-to-air missile. This is the fourth drone they have shot down in 2 weeks, 19th during the battle. Aliens attacked Soviet soldiers and turned them into stone, according to a declassified CIA document. Doesn't mean it's real, doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's correct. Could be total BS. According to it, Soviet military shot down a UFO flying over a military base. During an inspection of the wreckage, a humanoid alien emerged from the thing into one object, flashed with a bright light, turned 23 Soviet soldiers into stone. Only 2 survived. If KGB dossier is true, then this is an extremely threatening case that could change humanity's understanding of extraterrestrial life, blah, 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 blah. I personally don't believe it. So, yeah. Turn to stone. When you're coming home, I turn to stone. That's my ELO impression. Houthi military spokesman this evening accepts responsibility for 3 attacks on Israel. 1, Palestine. 2 hypersonic ballistic missiles aimed at the Sadat Micah base in the east of occupied Ashdod, where the Houthis claim that Jericho missiles and arrow systems are stored. 2, Dal-Fakar ballistic missile aimed at Ben Gurion Airport in occupied Jaffa. Drone targeted a target in occupied Ashkelon. Needless to say that none of the above really happened. 1 missile that triggered alarms in central Israel was intercepted, and that's all, according to Amir Sarfati. World continues to vote for conservative right-wing leaders, but wait a second. No, according to CBS, everybody's just waiting for the communisms. Yes, that's right. Daniel Noboa, the president of Ecuador, which has kicked butt from the drug dealers and stuff, has been elected again. So, Mayberry, how you doing, girl? Haven't seen you in a while. Algeria has asked 12 French embassy officials to leave in 48 hours, adding that this was linked to the arrest of 3 Algerian nationals in France. 12 include some members of the French Interior Ministry, a diplomatic source told AFP. Israeli opposition calls on the government to ask the U.S. to bar any agreement that would allow Saudi Arabia to enrich uranium on its soil. Germany has admitted 8.4 million people, equivalent to 10% of its pre-existing population, in just 15 years, according to new data. The group pushes 15-year-old boy to his death in a Hamburg, Germany high-rise, and it was 4 people from other countries that did that. I tied those together. So on one, they've got 8.4 million people. On the other, they've got some of their new neighbors going in there and pushing people around, literally, off of buildings. Everything's great. NATO acquires AI military system from Palantir. Terminator. Blue Origin, all-female crew launched into space. Katy Perry was on that one. She kissed the ground and did some very dramatic things afterwards when she returned. Irish police will seek government action to address the growing issue of citizen journalism, preventing filming of police activities for safety. So how dare you expose any kind of a crime committed by your officials and authoritarians? No, don't do that. It is now illegal to call them out for being authoritarians, okay? The beatings will continue until morale improves. Trump FDA has granted fast-track designation for a self-amplifying Myrna gibberty candidate against the H5N1 bird flu. IMF warns Trump the trade war is triggering a global recession as President Donald Trump. Algeria prepares to expel 12 French diplomats from the French embassy in Algiers. France has threatened to retaliate if their diplomats are expelled. China reported 5 tons of gold purchased in February, 160,000 ounces per the People's Bank of China. China actually bought 50 tons of gold in February, per Goldman Sachs. So they're buying a lot of gold. Wonder why. Since Wednesday, we have had universal reciprocal tariffs, a removal back down to 10%, 50% Chinese tariffs, 90% Chinese tariffs, 104% Chinese tariffs, 125% Chinese tariffs, 145% Chinese tariffs, electronics exempted, electronics now potentially back on. Clear as mud. Trade war between the U.S. and China has spurred Brazil's agricultural sector and pummeled has pummeled American farmers. It's a boon for farmers in Brazil and Argentina, and it will help their industry a lot, points out a lead agricultural analyst. China halts critical exports as trade war intensifies. China has suspended exports of a wide range of critical minerals and magnets, threatening to choke off supplies of components central to automakers, aerospace manufacturers, semiconductor companies, and military contractors around the world. Shipments of the magnets, essentially for assembling everything from cars and drones to robots and missiles, have been halted at many Chinese ports while the Chinese government drafts a new regulatory system. Once in place, the new system could permanently prevent supplies from reaching certain companies, including American military contractors. Official crackdown is part of China's retaliation to the Liberation Day tariffs. April 4th, Chinese government ordered restrictions on the export of 6 heavy rare earth metals, as well as magnets, 90% of which are produced in China. Metals and special magnets made with them can now be shipped out of China only with special export licenses. Okay. But China has barely started setting up a system for issuing the licenses. That has caused consternation amongst industry executives. Process could drag on, that current supplies of minerals and products outside of China could run low. If factories in Detroit and elsewhere run out of powerful rare earth magnets that could prevent them from assembling cars and other products with electric motors that require these magnets, companies vary widely in the size of their emergency stockpiles for such contingencies, so the timing of production disruptions is hard to predict. So, could be a problem. Trump issues a stark warning to the Houthis, says, just get rid of Joe Biden's dangerous red tape and empower our war fighters once again. We will support the Somali people to end terrorism and bring prosperity to their country. Excuse me. Indonesia is considering boosting its U.S. imports as it tries to narrow its trade surplus with the country as part of upcoming negotiations with the United States, ministry has stated. Google Maps has labeled the western part of the Philippines as the West Philippine Sea. Pakistan's remittance has hit a record high. Economic stabilization has fostered a favorable environment for sustained inflows. Central bank told Bloomberg. Crackdown on illegal dollar trading has redirected funds through formal banking channels. EU announced 1.6 billion euros in a new aid for Palestinians, according to Kaya Kallas. Japan sees a record population drop in 2024. Better get to boning. Suspect in arson at Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro's residence had reportedly planned to beat him with a hammer, according to documents. That guy does not, I don't know, no comment. He did a lot of dumb stuff. Russia says it targeted a meeting of Ukrainian army commanders in Sumy with 2 ballistic missile strikes. Russia accuses Ukraine of using civilians as human shields after the Sumy strike, according to Russian agencies. China says it detected salmonella in imported American poultry meats and bone meal. Meta stands trial on Monday, facing serious U.S. government allegations that it abused its market power to acquire Instagram and WhatsApp before they could become competitors. EU issues U.S.-bound staff with burner phones to avoid espionage, according to Financial Times. NVIDIA announces to build AI supercomputers entirely in the United States of America for the first time. North Korea is making what could be its largest, most advanced warship ever. New satellite photos show. EU suspends retaliatory measures against U.S. imports for 3 months from April 14th. U.S. military buildup against Iran in the Middle East continues. U.S. Air Force activity in the region has increased. Additional munitions, air defense systems, and weapons are being deployed. Infographics showed the many transport vessels. I've actually got that over on Subscribestar and Locals. Iranian chairman of the Atomic Energy Organization, Mohammad Islami, said we will continue to enrich uranium and gouge out our eyes at the West. I don't know what that means, but okay. Since the beginning of the talks between U.S. and Iran, Islami has been presenting a particularly hawkish line that is not all typical of him. After making it clear that Iran will stop enriching uranium, he said that the West is appropriating uranium enrichment and is unable to accept the fact that Iran has a vibrant nuclear industry. Declared that with the nuclear fuel Iran has, it will build a new nuclear plant that will take the eyes out of our enemies' eyes. He added that even though the U.S. and other countries, Israel, are trying to intimidate them, Iran has nevertheless crossed all the red lines they set, and they have done nothing to it. Khamenei's advisor says negotiations will take months. The day before the talks began, Mohammad Javad Larijani, Khamenei's foreign affairs advisor, was interviewed on Iranian television and tried to cool the mood regarding the negotiations. According to him, the negotiation will take several months, and the Iranian people should not expect a quick solution. Even if it sounds like Larijani is regretting the prolongation of the talks, in reality, this is exactly what Iran wants. No one in the regime will admit it, but its goal is to drag out the talks for as much as possible. San Diego border wall construction moving forward faster than expected, according to reports. Hungary has passed a constitutional amendment that allows the government to ban public events that have a rainbow community to it. Hungary constitutional changes allow the temporary stripping of citizenship from some dual or multiple nationals, which could target Hungarian-American billionaire George Soros. They do not like him there. And gotta be an awful shame for something to happen to old Georgie. I look forward to his 138th birthday. Trump on Zelensky says he is always looking to purchase missiles. Listen, when you start a war, you gotta know what you can win a war. You don't start a war against somebody that's 20 times your size and then hope that people give you some missiles. Trump announces pharmaceutical tariffs are coming soon. Pharmaceutical tariffs, not too distant futures. China produces a lot of pharmaceutical stuff, so you might want to work that out if you have meds you need. White House has started notifying Congress of a plan to eliminate all public broadcasting funding and codify foreign aid cuts identified by DOGE. Key proposed cuts include $1.1 billion for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which funds PBS, NPR, and $8.3 billion from USAID. President Emmanuel Macron has said Monday he hoped French recognition of a Palestinian state would encourage others to do the same, and that countries who do not recognize Israel should do so. Boston Democratic Mayor Michelle Wu's 2021 campaign received hundreds of thousands of dollars from a fundraiser identified by a Chinese intelligence agency as an official. Ruh-roh. Attorney General Pam Bondi has announced the arrest of a suspect linked to the February firebombing of a Tesla dealership in New Mexico and the March attack on the state's Republican Party headquarters. Saudi Arabia and the U.S. are set to develop a civil nuclear program. U.S. Energy Secretary stated that a broad energy cooperation agreement will be signed within weeks, with a nuclear deal within months. Hungarian Parliament has passed an amendment to the Constitution recognizing only two rhymes with benders, males and females. That's it. I think Facebook begs to differ. Iran is very close to having a nuclear weapon. If military intervention is necessary, we will do it. White House has started notifying Congress of a plan to eliminate all public broadcasting. We just covered that. Florida woman arrested for selling human remains on Facebook Marketplace. It's friggin' disgusting. Columbia University student has been detained by immigration authorities in Vermont during naturalization interview on Monday for his participation in protests against Israel-Gaza war. Confirmed case of measles reported in a person who visited Five Guys in D.C. Health officials are working to identify people who are at risk. Ruh-roh. Trump freezes $2.2 billion in grants to Harvard after the university defies its demands over campus protests. Biden will deliver the first public address since leaving the White House on Tuesday. Can't wait to see that. Elephants at San Diego Zoo Safari Park rushed to shield their young during a Monday 5.2 magnitude earthquake, forming an alert circle around the youngest, as seen in the video. If you are in San Diego, Los Angeles, you might want to have your go bags ready. Just saying. United States military buildup is currently occurring in the Middle East. Tensions with Iran rise, moving additional cargo, munitions, air defense systems, and equipment. United States Air Force activity in the region has soared. Endgame macro. This is an important one because this is why we entitled this one what we entitled it. So, chart signals a freight shock unfolding at near depression velocity. 49% drop in global container bookings, 64% collapse in U.S. imports within 1 week. Mirrors the kind of disruption seen after the 1930 Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, except what took months to manifest in the Great Depression is now happening in real time. Synchronized plunge in U.S.-China trade lanes. Imports down 64%. Exports down 36%. Confirms that the retaliatory tariff war is already constricting cross-border logistics, with downstream consequences for inventories, inflation prints, and FX liquidity. Credit to Zero Hedge for spotlighting the pivotal chart. 471TO has brilliantly framed it as this is a 1930 redux, except faster, more synchronized, and more intentional. He's been ahead of his entire unfolding macro regime, from credit tightening to trade war timing to dollar reflexivity. If you aren't already following him, correct that now. This isn't just noise, the start of a global trade breakdown. That's his link right there. You get that PrepperNow.substack.com, baby. That's right. Doesn't cost you a penny unless you'd like it to. Carmelo Anthony was allowed to walk free on $250,000 bond under house arrest after a brutal stabbing of Austin Metcalf. Wow. Hold on to your babies down there, man. I'd be, good Lord. That guy was allowed to walk free. Think about that. Department of Homeland Security is launching An investigation into voter rolls across 15 counties of Arizona to verify citizenship. Democrats protested. Communist China state media reports that Chinese and Vietnamese regimes will jointly act counter U.S. hegemonism in a détente between the two market socialist regimes following Trump's tariffs. Xi Jinping on Monday urged China and Vietnam to jointly oppose hegemonism, unilateralism, and protectionism. Xi made the remarks during his meeting with Vietnamese Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh, according to Xinhua. Argentine bonds on Wall Street are skyrocketing, up by 17.9%. This is due to the end of the exchange rate controls and agreement with the IMF. Japan is not compromised to rush to wrap up its tariff talks with the U.S. Shigeru Ishiba said Monday, Japan will not make compromises for the purpose of quickly concluding upcoming tariff negotiations with the U.S., underlying the importance of exploring how the longtime allies can cooperate. Parliament, Ishiba said that he's not thinking about imposing retaliatory tariffs in the U.S., which has hiked imports duties on cars, steel, aluminum, and imposed reciprocal tariffs on trading partners. Still, he added that he has not taken the option retaliatory tariffs off the table completely. Conservative Friedrich Merz to be elected German Chancellor on May 6th. Merz has expressed willingness to supply Ukraine with Taurus long-range missiles. It's called World War III. Our European partners are already supplying cruise missiles. The British are doing it, the French are doing it, and the Americans are doing it anyway, he said. Taurus missile has a range of 500 plus kilometers, enabling strikes deep behind Russian lines. Germany joins UK, France, and US in potentially supplying cruise missiles. Zelensky says Russian forces have killed up to 100,000 Ukrainian soldiers and 13,000 civilians. Polish Foreign Minister Radoslaw Sikorski said on Monday he hoped U.S. President Trump and administration would see that Vladimir Putin was mocking their goodwill following Moscow's deadly missile attack on Sumy. Ukraine unconditionally agreed to a ceasefire over a month ago. The heinous attacks on Kryvyi and the Sumy is Russia's mocking answer, Sikorsky said. There we go. Over 1,600 Israeli military veterans have signed a letter calling for the return of hostages, even if it means ending the war in Gaza. U.S. dollar falls for the fifth straight day. U.S. dollar extended its slide. Bloomberg dollar index dropping 0.2%, lowest since October. Trump clarified that key electronics like phones and computers will still face tariffs. Nobody's getting off the hook, he said. And Goldman Sachs sees gold hitting $4,000 by mid-2026. Goldman Sachs now forecasts gold to be $4,000 an ounce by mid-2026, citing robust central bank demand, rising recession risks, and geopolitical uncertainty. Bank raised its year-end 2025 target to 3,700, with analysts highlighting accelerating inflows into the gold-backed ETFs as investors seek safety. Recent flows have surprised to the upside, Goldman said, noting a potential 45% chance of a U.S. recession. In that scenario, prices climb even faster. Ray Dalio says we're near a recession, but what worries him is the breakdown of the entire monetary and world order. It isn't about GDP, but about debt, tariffs, global power shifts, and domestic instability. It's starting to look like 1930s. It's beginning to look a lot like 1930. Russia's Medvedev, Chancellor candidate Fritz Merz, is haunted by the memory of his father, who served in the Wehrmacht. Now Merz has suggested a strike on the Crimean Bridge, and if you do not see it, you think twice. And the euro has surged towards 1.2 to the dollar weakness. Euro is on its fastest rally in over 15 years, hitting a 3-year high last week, amid rising doubts about the dollar's safe haven status. Structural shifts like Germany's fiscal expansion and shrinking EU-US trade surplus fueling the euro's rise, with some strategists now viewing it as an emerging safe haven currency. You do you. Friends, that's your crisis report for April 14th, 2025. I'm going to end here and go straight to PrepperNow for a quickie. We're going to explain tariffs and some other economic doom. Really appreciate you being here. Hit the buttons and stuff. Join us online. You've got Subscribestar. You've got Locals. You've got Substack. You've got being a member here like Bad Bobber. There's all kinds of ways to support. Or you can just show up nightly and let me do funny voices and try to make heads or tails of all this. And yeah, we'd love to have you here. Okay? Okay. Well, friends, God bless. Go get things loaded up for PrepperNow. I'll be on there in about 2 minutes. And we will see you on the next one. Have a great night.